What's up everybody, Griffey here. Not every superhero can be played by the same guy for 25 years like Wolverine. These Marvel characters have been recast multiple times for better or for worse. Marvel's most iconic hero is also one of its most frequently recast, as Spider-Man has been played by 3 different people in his big screen history. When Peter Parker swung his way into the hearts of moviegoers everywhere in 2002, he was played by Tobey Maguire.
Who are you?
You know who I am.
I do?
Your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man.
Spider-Man was loved by critics and a smash at the box office, and Spider-Man 2 is still considered one of the greatest superhero sequels of all time. Unfortunately though, Spider-Man 3 missed the mark, quashing plans for a 4th installment and prompting Sony to search for a new man to put on the mask. That search ended with Andrew Garfield, who was selected to play the title character in 2012's The Amazing Spider-Man. It did go well enough to get a sequel, but The Amazing Spider-Man 2 ended up being overstuffed with plot lines and villains, making it unfocused and confusing to follow. At that point, Sony decided to go another way, making a deal with Marvel that allowed the wall crawler to appear in the MCU. Tom Holland debuted as Peter Parker in Captain America: Civil War, becoming the first live-action version of the character to actually look like a high schooler. He'd go on to reprise his role in multiple Avengers movies and 3 solo films, the third of which brought back Maguire and Garfield as their Spider-Man variants.
Peter!
Yeah? Oh, sorry. Did you mean?
With a 4th movie scheduled for release in 2026, it doesn't look like Holland is passing the baton anytime soon. The daughter of Ant-Man, Scott Lang, Cassie Lang, has been recast multiple times since her first appearance in 2015. In Ant-Man and Ant-Man and the Wasp, she served as her father's motivation to better himself and is portrayed by the adorable Abby Ryder-Fortson.
You can do it. You can do anything. You are the world's greatest grandma.
As any parent knows though, kids grow up fast, and Cassie had to grow up extra quick thanks to the 5-year time skip in Avengers Endgame. When Scott finally reunites with his teenage daughter after half a decade in the quantum realm, she's played by Emma Fuhrmann. Comic fans who had been looking forward to seeing Cassie take on the superhero persona Stature in live action were rewarded in 2023 when she put on a size-shifting suit in Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. Well, maybe rewarded is a strong word to use considering how lousy the movie was. Either way, she was once again recast, played this time by Katherine Newton. It doesn't look like there'll be any new Ant-Man movies anytime soon, but if Marvel ends up bringing the Young Avengers into live action, Newton will almost certainly be returning.
I'm so proud of you. I feel like I'm hugging Godzilla.
It feels so cool!
Hulk has an impressive live-action history, having appeared in a 1978 television series and a handful of made-for-TV films in the 1980s and 1990s. Rather than using motion capture and CGI to turn a mild-mannered scientist into a giant, the best solution at the time was to find a big guy and smaller guy and paint the big one green. Bill Bixby played Dr. David Bruce Banner, while Lou Ferrigno was his angry alter ego. When Hulk jumped to the big screen in 2003, he was played by Eric Bana. The Ang Lee directed movie definitely has its fans, but was overshadowed by the likes of Spider-Man and X-Men. When The Incredible Hulk hit theaters 5 years later with Edward Norton in the title role, that too was overshadowed, this time by Iron Man. It seems like Hulk just can't catch a break. He hasn't had a solo project since 2008, even though several of his Avengers teammates already have their own trilogies.
Is that all you got?
In the Avengers and other Marvel projects since, Hulk has been portrayed by Mark Ruffalo. Although his version of Banner is supposed to be the same character played by Norton, they act nothing alike. While Ruffalo makes a solid Banner, he hasn't exactly had the chance to shine ever since Thanos beat the green out of him during Infinity War. The future of Hulk remains a question, but Ruffalo probably isn't going anywhere.
I put the brains and the brawn together, and now look at me. Best of both worlds.
With a nickname like Thunderbolt, it's obvious that Thaddeus Ross is a big deal. He's an important part of Hulk's story. He's both the father of Banner's love interest, Betty Ross, and the army general who tries to hunt the scientist down when he goes green. This is pretty much what Sam Elliott and William Hurt do in 2003's Hulk and 2008's The Incredible Hulk, respectively.
What if I told you we were putting a team together? Who's we?
8 years after playing Ross for the first time, Hurt returned for Captain America: Civil War to give the Avengers a legislative slap in the face as the Secretary of State. The Sokovia Accords nearly tore the team apart, but Hurt stuck around for 2 more Avengers movies as well as Black Widow. Hurt died in 2022, but Ross is more important than ever. Portrayed now by Harrison Ford, Captain America: Brave New World sees him in the office of the President of the United States.
I have to admit, I'm still getting used to the new look.
They said lose the mustache or lose the election.
Ross is more than just a politician now. He's the Red Hulk, seemingly involved in a massive conspiracy and facing off against Sam Wilson's Captain America. He's also said to be making an appearance in Thunderbolts, but it's unclear whether he'd be giving orders to the team or suing them for copyright infringement. 2000's X-Men was one of the first big screen movies to establish the power of superheroes at the box office, introducing new fans to all sorts of complex mutant characters. Tyler Mane's Sabertooth was not one of them. With a performance that mostly consisted of growls and grunts, his character wasn't even identified as Logan's brother in the movie. While he was a convincing henchman to Ian McKellen's Magneto, he didn't bring a lot of subtlety to the role. When it came time to cast X-Men Origins Wolverine, Sabertooth was played not by Mane, but rather by Liev Schreiber, who brought nuance and a good amount of actual dialogue to the role. The movie centered on him and Wolverine as 2 brothers on opposite sides of a great battle, but he didn't get a chance to continue the role in later films.
I'm gonna cut your damn head off. See if that works.
Instead, for Deadpool and Wolverine, Mane returned to play Sabertooth. This time, everyone was in agreement that he was Wolverine's brother. But now he had been discarded in the void with other misfit mutants. His cameo lasts just seconds before Logan takes care of him personally. Known for his brutality and strict moral code, the anti-hero known as the Punisher has had a reputation as one of Marvel's darkest characters since his comic book debut. Any live-action adaptation of the character's story needed to be sufficiently brutal. The first attempt at this was in 1989's The Punisher starring Dolph Lundgren. Then there was the 2004 reboot also called The Punisher with Thomas Jane in the title role. Then the series was rebooted a second time in 2008's Punisher Warzone, which cast Ray Stevenson as the merciless vigilante. All 3 movies were panned by critics, making comic book fans wonder if the character would ever receive a worthy adaptation. In 2016, they finally stopped wondering as salvation finally arrived in the form of Jon Bernthal. Bernthal portrayed the Punisher in the 2nd season of Netflix's Daredevil in 2016, and he was given a solo show that premiered the following year. Both projects were massive successes, leaving the door open for his version of the character to eventually appear in the MCU. With Daredevil Born Again, Bernthal is under new management, but he's still free to punish as he pleases.
I'm not the one that dies, kid. I'm the one that does killing.
The Fantastic Four, consisting of Mr. Fantastic, the Invisible Woman, the Human Torch, and the Thing, have gone through multiple iterations on their road to joining the MCU. Needless to say, it hasn't quite been smooth sailing. The trouble started in 1994 when notoriously cheap movie producer Roger Corman was tasked with bringing the Fantastic Four into live action. That version starred Alex Hyde White as Reed Richards, Rebecca Staub as Sue Storm, Jay Underwood as Johnny Storm, Michael Bailey Smith as Ben Grimm in human form, and Carl Cirfalio as Ben in Thing form. But the film never saw an official release. When Marvel started taking the movie business more seriously in the 2000s, a new Fantastic Four was assembled. The lineup featured in the 2005 film and its 2007 sequel, Rise of the Silver Surfer, was Ioan Gruffudd as Mr. Fantastic, Jessica Alba as the Invisible Woman, Chris Evans as the Human Torch, and Michael Chiklis as the Thing. Evans even briefly reprised his role as Johnny Storm in Deadpool and Wolverine. In 2015, the Fantastic Four weren't quite ready to make the leap to the MCU due to rights issues, but that didn't stop 20th Century Fox from sending the team out once again. The poorly received reboot featured Miles Teller as Reed Richards, Kate Mara as Sue Storm, Michael B. Jordan as Johnny Storm, and Jamie Bell as Ben Grimm.
Gotta say, it's fantastic.
Say that again?
The team's future in the MCU was teased in 2022 when John Krasinski made a surprise appearance as Earth 838's variant of Mr. Fantastic in Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, before being turned into spaghetti. It won't be until 2025 that the other members of the team make their MCU debut in the Fantastic Four First Steps, with Pedro Pascal as Mr. Fantastic, Vanessa Kirby as the Invisible Woman, Joseph Quinn as the Human Torch, and Ebon Moss-Bachrach as the Thing. This will probably be the team's most enjoyable adventure yet. Where the Fantastic Four goes, Doom follows. Each cinematic version of Marvel's first family has a version of Victor Von Doom close by, causing them all sorts of headaches. In Roger Corman's unreleased Fantastic Four adaptation, Doom was played by Joseph Culp, but he looked more like a cosplayer than a powerful dictator. Dr. Doom's first real live-action appearance was in 2005, with Julian McMahon beating out Robert Downey Jr. for the role. This version of Doom is the CEO of Von Doom Industries, who decides to take revenge on the Four after the failed space mission that gave them their powers hurts his company and starts transforming his flesh into living metal.
This is what a man looks like who embraces his destiny.
McMahon also appeared in the sequel, Fantastic Four: Rise of the Silver Surfer, 2 years later. After that was the Doom from the critically reviled 2015 reboot played by Toby Kebbell. A lot of Marvel fans didn't appreciate this take on the character, whose appearance is much more robotic than Doom in the comics. Finally, the time came for Dr. Doom to terrorize the MCU, and in a full circle reveal, Marvel announced that the Latvian monarch will be played by none other than Robert Downey Jr. Will RDJ actually bring something new to the role, or will his performance be remembered as just another stunt casting? Only time will tell.